Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll give people a few more minutes to jump into the GoToWebinar. If you've noticed a beautiful glass window/door, it's because we're coming to you live from our new office in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So super excited about that.
Big upgrade from the last office.
Yeah, absolutely. Team is also growing so quickly, so we need the space. Okay, Paige, we're just about ready to get started? Awesome. Great, so my name is Jeffrey. I am Hubdoc's Senior Product Marketing Manager and one of your co-hosts today. Luckily joined by Dan Shiner, who is our Head of Product Management.
Hi, everyone.
Dan is going to be going deep into a lot of the product updates that we're going to be discussing during today's webinar. But before we jump into the topic, I thought we'd cover a few housekeeping notes. First and foremost, we will be sending a recording of this webinar, so keep an eye on your inbox either by end of day today and or tomorrow. Second, and probably most importantly, because we have the awesome Dan joining us today, we'd encourage you to ask as many questions as possible. We'll do our best to answer all of them at the end of the webinar. You might have heard me talking to Paige earlier in the session. We have Paige and Malia who are moderating all of the questions. They'll surface the ones that they can to us and or they'll answer them directly in the chat. And last but not least, to ensure that you have the best possible viewing experience, we'd recommend closing any unnecessary Windows applications. Great, so what are we talking about today? A ton of exciting stuff. But before we talk about the new features, we thought it would be worth it to contextualize how they play in the current Hubdoc workflow on our mission to automate the bookkeeping process. Then we're going to jump into exactly what is new, what we've been working on over the last 4 months. So machine learning powered data extraction, AutoFile 2.0, Zoom, and two-factor authentication. And last but not least, something that we rarely do, but something that Dan has luckily given us permission to do, is provide you with a sneak peek of some of the new features that we're working on and the things that are coming down in the pipe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our overall philosophy at Hubdoc is that we don't like to talk about what we're cooking until it comes out of the oven. But because it's a special webinar and we have so many people here just to see what's new, we thought we'd make an exception and give you just a little sneak peek of a couple exciting things that are coming down the pipeline. So excited about that part too.
And thanks, Dan. I appreciate that because as a marketer, I love talking about what's coming. So Dan's always the one holding me back.
Right. So Jeff totally won this time around.
Okay, great. So to contextualize what we're going to be talking about today, as you know, Hubdoc is a bookkeeping automation tool that allows you to automate administrative tasks associated to the bookkeeping process, like document collection and data entry. You all right there?
Yeah.
Awesome. So effectively, we help you automate the tasks that you hate, so that the manual administrative task of the bookkeeping process, allowing you to focus on the work that you love. That could be growing your practice, that could be providing higher value services to your clients, that could be taking a vacation, depends on the person, everyone's different. So as far as automating the bookkeeping process, what are some of the things that we do, or what are the categories that we look at? First and foremost, Hubdoc auto-fetches financial documents from over 700 banks, utilities, telecom providers, and online vendors. If there are documents that we do not fetch from the portal, Hubdoc gives your small business clients the tools to quickly and easily upload documents via their desktop, mobile device, email, or scanner. Once those documents are in Hubdoc, we'll auto-extract the key data, so things like the vendor name, the date, and the total amount. And then we'll auto-file the documents within neatly organized folders that are automatically created by Hubdoc. Last but not least, once Hubdoc has processed the documentation, we allow you to auto-publish those documents over to third-party cloud accounting software like QuickBooks Online and Xero as an accurately coded transaction with a source document attached, allowing you to achieve one-click reconciliation and auto-proofing. That's a train. If you can hear it, actually, I would say one of the perks of this new office. It's kind of changes the scenery.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it forces you to take every 10 minutes, you kind of have to pause and wait for the training to go by.
Exactly.
Good reflective moment.
So quick recap on that. We auto-fetch documents, so allowing you to quickly and easily get financial documents from your small business clients so you're not stuck chasing after them. We auto-extract the key data from documents, so eliminating data entry on your end. We auto-file documents, so this is where Hubdoc is kind of like a secure, centralized place for all of your small businesses' financial documents. And last but not least, we auto-publish that documentation over to third-party applications. This is where really the bookkeeping automation is taken to the next level, allowing you to quickly and easily reconcile those transactions with verifiable data.
So what you're seeing here is we're really moving towards the end-to-end automation flow, taking all of that manual stuff, that repetitive stuff that you don't like to do, and from getting the document to putting that document and the data where it needs to be, we want to make that whole flow silent and simple.
Absolutely. Which is a great segue into the next section. What's new? How are we getting to that eventual outcome? So one of the first features that we're going to be talking about fits within the auto extract category, and that's machine learning powered data extraction.
That's right.
So if you've noticed that Hubdoc is extracting data from some of your documents within seconds, well, it's because of machine learning powered data extraction. Effectively, what it provides is accurate data extraction in seconds. Today, it's working on text-based PDF documents, and tomorrow, it'll eventually work on every uploaded document.
And by tomorrow, we mean soon, not literally tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So to talk about some of the data that our machine learning powered data extraction extracts. So today we have the vendor name, the date, the due date, the total amount, and the invoice. And we're taking a ton of customer feedback to find out what is the additional data that we should be extracting using these models.
And a perfect example of that is recently, well, we've been able to extract due date for, let's say your invoice literally has the words due date, and you put a date there and we could grab it. But a lot of the feedback we were getting from our customers is, well, I mean, half the time our receipt doesn't say due date, it says terms or net 15 or net 10 or net 30. So given that feedback, we updated our artificial intelligence, which now knows how to find the terms like net 10, net 15, net 30. It will pull that out, it will find your bill date, and it will add, say, the 30 onto your bill date to calculate the due date for you. So it's a perfect example of we started a baseline, we put it out there, we talk to our customers, and we figure out how we need to make this thing smarter and better to do exactly the things that you want it to do.
Which is great. And if you're not familiar with machine learning, effectively, it's about the ability to process a ton of data and a ton of information. We have our data scientists here, which are pushing the model in the right direction, letting it know what it's doing right and what it's doing wrong. And as it processes tens of millions of documents, it learns over time and it gets better, which is why you're seeing accurate data extraction in seconds. And that's just going to get better and better every single day because the model continues to learn every single day.
That's exactly right.
Okay, great. So that's what we've done for the auto extract product. We talked about it. We're going to show it in just a little bit. So don't worry, this isn't just a presentation. But now let's talk about what we've done for AutoFile. So with AutoFile, we've recently introduced AutoFile 2.0. And this feature, in my opinion, is one of the biggest features that we've released recently because there's been so much customer feedback about the functionality that this introduces. So if you've ever thought to yourself, man, I would really love to merge and or delete some of the vendors in my Hubdoc account, with AutoFile 2.0, you now have vendor customization where you can merge and delete vendors. But that's not it, and that's not the coolest part of AutoFile 2.0. The coolest part is that AutoFile 2.0 learns your vendor preferences over time. So if you merge two vendors, and then in the future, you upload a document and Hubdoc recognizes that document from a previously merged vendor, it'll know to change it to the primary vendor that you selected the last time. So it gets smarter and smarter over time as you continue to merge your vendors. This ensures that your account is kept clean. This ensures that your documents are sorted within the appropriate folders, making them extremely easy to access.
Yeah, that's spot on. I'm really excited for the demo actually for this specific feature because it was something I worked really closely on, and when you actually see it in action, some of these learning benefits that Jeff just described are going to become super clear.
Awesome. And again, another perfect example of customer feedback driving product innovation and product execution. So customer feedback being the ability to merge and delete vendors, but then the product team, and Dan included, thought, how do we take this to the next level and introduce some smart capabilities to Autofile 2.0, which we're really excited about. Okay, so the last two features that we're going to talk about, what category do we fit in? Okay, so we think that Zoom and Rotate fit in the auto-publish category. And the reason for that being is that Zoom and Rotate allow you to more easily process documents and then publish them onward to third-party applications. So pretty self-explanatory in this context. Another feature that's been driven by a ton of customer feedback and something that customers have been really excited about, which we'll demo in just a short amount of time.
Yep.
And then last but not least, something that encompasses all of the workflow and some of a feature that we've built to help meet our expectations of security of the platform is two-factor authentication. So with two-factor authentication, you have increased security on each of your Hubdoc accounts, which provides you with additional peace of mind because, as you know, this is sensitive information. We take that extremely seriously. Every day, we work towards building new features and new functions that improve security on the Hubdoc product. Great, so without further ado, the fun stuff. I'm gonna pass the mic over to Dan and he's gonna walk you through each of these individual features. So we're just gonna come out of the presentation and then I'm gonna close the camera for this section so that we can just focus on the demo and go in from there. So I'm just gonna confirm with Paige that she can now see the Hubdoc account. Awesome. All right, good to go. Dan, on to you.
Awesome. Okay, so let's take some of the features that Jeff spoke about and let's make them a little bit more real because everything that he mentioned are live and available today in Hubdoc. Let's start with the machine learning powered data extraction. So first of all, just to clear up terminology, and Jeff mentioned this briefly when he was giving the overview, this term machine learning, you might have heard it before, this might be the first time you're hearing it. Just to give a little bit more detail on what that means, machine learning is like a special kind of artificial intelligence. And it's a kind of artificial intelligence that learns the more data you give it. So Hubdoc is lucky, but because we get tens of millions of documents every year reported to Hubdoc, we've been able to use those documents to train this artificial intelligence system so that it can extract the data from documents within seconds. And let's see that thing live in the flesh. So we're going to go into one of these accounts, Allison's Bookkeeping. Let's see here. I'm just refresh the page.
Bear with us, new office, new network.
Just on the technical side, Paige, can you still see our screen? It's just loading. It's not unusual. Let's see what we can do here. There we go. Okay. Okay, perfect. Thanks for that. Thanks for your patience, everyone. So here we have a Hubdoc account, and as you might have seen and probably experienced today, when you upload documents into Hubdoc, sometimes it can take several hours for those documents to have their data extracted. And while not everyone needs their documents extracted immediately, we want to live in a world where as soon as you upload a document, boom, every piece of data you've extracted is pulled out accurately and immediately. And that's what we're working towards. So let me just grab a couple of documents from the desktop here. Let's see. And let's pull them back into our browser. Can you help me with the drag here, Jeff?
Yeah.
We're on Jeff's computer.
So we're just going to go here.
Perfect.
We're going to browse, and then we're going to select 3 documents from the desktop that, as you can see, have absolutely no data associated to them.
And now watch, because this happens fast. Here are the documents. And see, within under 5 seconds, all of the data from those documents was immediately extracted. Boom, from this tech-savvy document, within 5 seconds, you have the vendor, the invoice number, the date, the due date, the amount, tax rate, etc. Same with this Uber document, and same with the Virgin Mobile document. On the tax rate specifically, today it still functions where it's based on the tax rate you've previously saved for that vendor. The machine learning cannot extract tax rates yet, but it is something we're working towards in the future. So there you have it. Rather than waiting several hours for a document to be extracted, you now have it in several seconds at high accuracy. Today, like Jeff mentioned, this works on PDF documents, or in general, 20% of all documents that come into Hubdoc can be immediately extracted. Over time, in the next short period, we're continually investing in this, and we expect to see significant increases in the number of documents. So in other words, today, roughly 1 in 5 of your documents you're going to see extracted immediately, and just keep your eye on Hubdoc because this number should continue to increase very soon.
It's worth mentioning too that auto-fetch documents as well have the data extracted from the documents accurately and within seconds.
Back on.
Oh, sorry about that, everyone. So, you know, a symptom of having a new office, we unfortunately had some network issues and we're disconnected from the GoToWebinar. Our apologies. It looks like a few people dropped off. But not to worry, we'll make sure to send the webinar recording after this session. Thank you for your patience. I'll let Dan pass the mic. I think where we ended, just to recap, is we had just finished talking about machine learning powered data extraction, and we're in the process of jumping into AutoFile 2.0. So thank you for your patience.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, thanks for sticking around, especially for my favorite feature ever. So awesome. Like we were about to say, one of the killer features that Hubdoc's actually had for a while is this thing called AutoFile. The idea here is that when Hubdoc extracts data from your documents, it will also create a folder and automatically put the documents in the proper folder for you. If the folder already exists, we'll figure out what the documents vendor is and we'll put it in that existing. Want, or give it a vendor name that you might not want. So AutoFile 2, the point of AutoFile 2.0 is to fix that and to allow you to keep your Hubdoc account clean without any additional work from you. Now, like Jeff was mentioning earlier, this was totally a function of a request from our customers. We had customers contacting us like on a weekly basis saying, please give me a way to delete the vendors I don't want. Please give me a big delete button. So we started to look into that idea of introducing a delete button or a merge button, and we realized that, you know what, if we just built that, what would happen is our customers would have the opportunity to clean up their accounts, but in a few months' time, more vendors that they didn't want would come back, and the messiness would accumulate all over again. If we've learned anything from working with accountants, bookkeepers, and advisors over the past 3 or 4 years, it's that they are the most organized, hyper-detailed, cleanest people we have ever met. And we knew that if we built a feature like that, it just wouldn't keep people happy. So we thought we needed a way that could both allow you to clean up your account once, and then for the mess to never accumulate again. So let's show you how we do that. So if I'm gonna go into my account settings. And here's a classic example. I have 2 vendors here. One is called Apple and one is called Apple Inc. And you know what? I just want all my documents to be called Apple. I don't want to have 2 vendors. I want my account to be clean. So before, you would just have to live with these 2 vendor names. Now you can click them. You can click this merge button up in the top right corner. You can choose which vendor you want to be the master vendor, the chosen one. And then you can hit merge. And as you'll see, instantly what's happened is those 2 vendors have been merged together. Any documents that used to be called Apple Inc. have now been called Apple. And all the documents have been automatically moved into the Apple folder. So your account has been totally cleaned up. You can also delete vendors. So let's say there isn't one you want to merge and just get rid of. You can find one with 0 documents. You can even sort by the number of documents to figure out all those that you want. let's say the area hotel. You can hit delete. Hubdoc will remind you and give you a second chance. And then once you delete it, that vendor's gone. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. We've now allowed you to merge vendors and we help you clean up your accounts. But like I was saying before, the really powerful part about this is the stuff that's happening under the hood. Let's give another example and we'll talk through it. So I'm going to scroll down here. So here's the example I was speaking about earlier, Starbucks. I mean, we all, or lots of us go to Starbucks. If you're a coffee drinker, you know they're on every corner. So let's say you're going to Starbucks, you're submitting your receipts to Hubdoc, and you check in at the end of the month and you realize you have 3 similar vendor names. One's called Starbucks for us because we're Canadian. One might be called Starbucks Coffee Canada because the little receipt said that. And say I was traveling in New York and a third one might have said Starbucks JFK Airport. And the result is that I have these 3 vendors. So like we showed before, I can select them and I can merge them and I can turn them all to Starbucks. And I can choose the one I want. I'm going to say it's the single Starbucks. And I can merge these vendors. Now that's great, but the real power is what you can't see. So what's happened there is that Hubdoc has learned, and Hubdoc will remember that anytime it sees Starbucks Coffee Canada or Starbucks JFK Airport, what I really want is Starbucks. So the next time I go to a Starbucks where the receipt says Starbucks Coffee Canada, or the next time I'm in Starbucks JFK Airport and I send that document to Hubdoc, Hubdoc will learn, it will remember my preferences, it will automatically change that document just to regular Starbucks and put it in the Starbucks folder so that you are not constantly creating new vendors or new folders that you don't want. So the third and final thing we've done to help you keep your account clean as part of AutoFile is a way to allow you to keep your account clean while you're just doing your regular work. So in other words, you might not always want to open up the accounts window there, find your vendors and merge. That's great as a one-time cleanup, but it's not something anyone wants to do all the time. So let me show you how your account stays clean automatically. So here, say we have, we're looking through our recent documents list, and here I have a document, Office Depot. You'll see it's from this vendor that's a combination of 2 vendors, Office Depot, Office Max, and I've decided, say, I actually don't want these documents to be called Office Depot, I want them Office Max. But as you know, because of AutoFile, we've created a folder, we've created a vendor Office Depot, and I don't want this anymore. So if I go back and I find that document, and as I'm going through my regular work, I say, no, I don't want this to be Office Depot. I want this to be Office Max. So I go in there and I make the change. I want to show you what's happened. In the past, while we would have changed this document to Office Max, the old Office Depot folder would still be there, and the old Office Depot vendor name would still be there. But now, if I look into my folders list, there is no Office Depot folder. There's only an Office Max folder. And if I go back into my vendors list over here and I go back to the O's, you'll see there's no more Office Depot. It's been automatically removed or hidden from your vendor list. The result here is that old unwanted vendors won't accumulate anymore. As you're just going through and doing your day-to-day work, Hubdoc is listening and automatically cleaning up your vendor and folder list for you. So that was a lot of detail, but at a high level, that's the AutoFile feature. When you can merge vendors, you can delete vendors. When you do that, documents will automatically go to the correct folder. Hubdoc will learn so that once you've merged things once, you'll never have to merge them again because Hubdoc remembers your preferences. And as you go to your day-to-day work and change your documents and make any changes, we will automatically be cleaning up your account for you. The net result is come into Hubdoc, do a one-time cleanup, and then watch your account stay clean and automatically organized forever. Okay, so that's the AutoFile. Let's now move into the third feature, which is the zoom and rotate. Now, I mean, we're not going to pretend that this isn't a small feature, but it's a perfect reminder of how small changes can result in big wins for our customers. This is a small thing that we spun up because we were getting requests for it like all the time. Customers were having to download documents and then open them, say, in a PDF or image viewer to zoom and see the really fine print. And people were constantly asking us, can't you just make this easier? So we said, sure. And we spun it up, and we couldn't believe the response that we got. The improvement in lifestyle for customers, we didn't realize how big of a pain point this was, and we're so happy to have this out there. So the zoom feature is pretty self-explanatory. We've built this so that it looks like any other old zoom feature. You have your tools up here. You can zoom in and out of a document. And if the document was uploaded the wrong way, you can rotate it and make sure that it's readable in the best way. And that's the zoom and rotate feature in a nutshell.
I love the description. Small feature, big win.
Right, totally small feature. But it was such a reminder to us that like we really need to keep our ear to the ground to these small features that people want, because they're not as hard, or they don't take as long to build, and they can create so much customer value and reduce so much pain in people's day-to-day workflow. So the last one, excuse me, I have a little getting over a cold. But the last one is two-factor authentication. So like Jeff mentioned, this doesn't fall into any of the specific buckets. This is just an overall tool to help keep your account secure. You and all of our customers trust Hubdoc with some of your most secure and confidential information and data. So we're constantly investing to make Hubdoc as secure as possible to keep that information safe. A lot of those investments are happening kind of on the back end, with investments we're making to our security and how our servers are secured, how our data is encrypted, etc. But a big part of security is helping you and your team be secure as well. And that was the motivation behind the two-factor authentication. So two-factor authentication in a nutshell is the idea that rather than just putting your username and password in, we will provide a second layer of security, so that the only way to get into your Hubdoc account is if you are holding your mobile phone. The result is that if somehow somebody else is able to say, guess your password, or find a way to know your username and password and get in, they still can't get into your Hubdoc account unless they are physically holding your mobile device. So let's just show you a little bit about how we do that. Overall, we actually have to be in a different account. So we have to be in the master account. Let me just switch there. Oh, here we go. And let's go back into our master account here. You will see a security tab. So as long as you're the administrator of the account, you'll have the security tab. And in the security tab, you have the option to turn on two-factor authentication. This is what we were just describing, and it links access to your Hubdoc account to your mobile phone as a second layer of security. So what you would do is you would click to turn it on. You give a little description. For two-factor authentication to work, you need a third-party app called an authenticator. There are tons of them out there. They're all free. We recommend Google, Microsoft, or 1Password. You would go to set it up. You're first given a recovery key. This key is important because if you ever lose your device, you need this to get into your Hubdoc account. Right? Say you lose your mobile phone and you still need to get in. This is the key that lets you do that. So you would copy that key, store it in a safe place, either say in a password manager. Once you've done that, you're able to secure two-factor authentication, and you're given this special barcode. Now, you can't see me because we've turned off our video, but at this point, I would go into my Authenticator app on my mobile device. And the Authenticator app is very simple. It just asks me to take a picture of that little barcode. So I'm doing that right now, scanning it. It's giving me a special code. And now I can use that code I can put that code in over here, and I can use that code to log in to Hubdoc in the future. It's okay that you can see this number because it changes every 30 seconds. So having the code, because I actually waited too long, the code has just changed. So I can put this code in, and all this is doing is setting a link. Oh, I must have typed it wrong. Let's try that. Okay, now two-factor authentication is on. So the result is that when I log out of Hubdoc, and I think we're in your account here, Jeff, aren't we?
Correct.
So I've just made your Hubdoc account more secure.
Yeah, by not allowing me to access
your own account. So now will you put in your username and password, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So what you'll see is that Jeff has been blocked from getting into his account because of two-factor authentication. Now, to get in, he needs his mobile device, or in this demo, my mobile device, to provide an additional code. So we're going to put that in here. We're just going to wait for the new code to be generated. Again, don't worry that you can see this. You need a new one every 30 seconds. And with that, he would be able, I think we waited too long, so it's forced us to go again. And so for the nature of the demo, we'll just punt this part. But in general, once he puts his two-factor authentication code, he'll be granted access to his Hubdoc account, but he could not get in without the mobile device.
Which is great because, you know, I right now in this moment feel like my account is secure because we can't even access it.
We can't even access it because we let the code expire.
Yeah, amazing. Great. Thanks, Dan.
No problem. So do you want to hop back over to the presentation?
Yeah, I want to pop back over to the presentation because before we jump into the Q&A session, I think some people are probably anxious to see what's coming down the pipe. So I think by now it's probably a good time to talk about what's coming up next.
Sure.
And we didn't talk about this earlier, but not only are we going to tell you what's coming next, we're also going to be able to show you.
That's right.
Great. So I'm going to get back into the presentation. Paige, can you see the presentation screen? Sweet. Great. So sneak peek, what's coming next? So highly requested customer feature, something that we're really excited about, and is the first step to an even bigger feature, which Dan won't let me talk about. But let's talk about what is coming.
Awesome. So what we want to talk about, what we're going to show you is Audit Trail. This is probably the most requested feature in Hubdoc. In simple terms, like for every document that comes into Hubdoc, our customers specifically want to know, just tell me when that document arrived, how it arrived, who sent it in, who published it. When we were considering building this, and I met with our support team, you know, really the people on the ground floor working with our customers every day, and I brought up, hey, how about now's the time to do Audit Trail? The room kind of exploded because people said every single day from tons of customers we hear about this feature. So like we said, tell us about the things you want, because when you tell us, we do listen. We drive a lot of our product development purely based on what our customers tell us. So this is a feature that we're currently working on and will be live very soon. So stay tuned for this, because once we've built this, it will stop the kind of the mystery documents coming into Hubdoc and finally give you some clarity on where documents have come from. And because we promised, we're actually going to show you what this is going to look like. So I'm just going to pop over to this browser now, and I'm going to go into, can you see the browser? Okay, perfect. So here we have a Hubdoc account. And as you can see, things just look normal. We've zoomed it in a little bit just to make sure that everyone can see this. But what we've added is something new below the document. And as you can see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more just to make sure everyone watching can see this. Originally, we used to just have a document ID, and now we've added all the information that our customers have asked us about. We say how it came in, uploaded via web, who sent it in, the email address of the person who submitted it, when they sent it in, and the time. So the date and the time that this document was submitted. And we'll do this not just for web documents, but if we look at some other examples, here's a web one for something that was emailed. Oh, here's a fetched document, for example. So when Hubdoc fetches a document, we'll say this was fetched. It came from an automated connection, and it came on this date and time. The same will work for email, for mobile, for ScanSnap. What do we have up here? Here we have a mobile app. So if a document was submitted by a mobile app, we'll say the name of the person. If the person's a Hubdoc user, we'll even say their name, the date, etc. So web, email, mobile, ScanSnap, fetch. Every single way you get a document into Hubdoc, we'll track it. We'll say who sent it in, and we'll say when. Now, we will also, let me find an example where we have this. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. We will also say if the document was published, we're also going to surface that. So in this case, this document was published to QuickBooks Online. We will store the user that published that document and their email address. So again, forget about the days of mystery documents. coming in, you're having no idea who submitted them, how long they've been waiting there for, who published them. All that information will now be at your fingertips, and that's coming extremely soon. So super excited to get that out there. And frankly, as a product developer here, thank you so much to our customers for taking the time to write in. Because while we try to talk to customers all the time, we really would never know how important this was unless you emailed in and wrote us and told us what you were looking for. So please continue to do that because we really do listen. So the next little thing we want to announce is a little bit less of a feature, excuse me, but more in response to another thing that we were getting from customers, which was like, Hubdoc, you're shipping and releasing features, new features all the time, but half the time I have no idea that something new has come out. And what we used to say was, yeah, but we sent an email or we posted on Facebook, but people have told us, but we're not always on Facebook, or we get so many emails we can't check them all. We need a way to know when you're releasing new features so that we're not waiting around and not using them when new tools are available. So I'm going to pop over here. I'm going to show you something else that is in the works and is coming very soon. So can you see up in the top right corner here something jumping? And if I zoom in, you might be able to see it a little bit better. You might see it looks like a little gift. So this is something we're introducing into Hubdoc. The idea here is that every time we release a new feature, you're going to see this jumping little gift letting you know, hey, hi team, there's something new, there's a new tool in Hubdoc, and we want to let you know that it exists and show you how to use it. And what will happen is that when you click that little icon, you'll get an update of all the new things that have come up with the name of it. This is just dummy text for now because the feature's still in development. But with the name of it, a description, and a link to either a support article or a blog post explaining how this thing works. And of course, having something jumping in the corner would be kind of annoying. So once you've viewed it once, it stops jumping. It even changes color to fit with the current color scheme, and it just stays there. And next time a new feature is released, it will light back up and tell you, so you can open it up and see the new features. The result here is you don't have to kind of wait and wonder and feel like you have to check emails all the time. Now you know for sure that anytime something new has come out, next time you're in Hubdoc, you'll be notified of it.
As somebody that did the bookkeeping here for quite a few months, I'd be hoping that is always jumping.
And it's my job to do that. So keep your eye out for that little gold box because we want to fill it with good stuff as often as we can. And that being said, the two things we've shown here are not the only two things that are coming. There are multiple things in the hopper, but to hark back to our original philosophy, we only like to talk about the things we're cooking until we get out of the oven. So stay tuned, more good stuff coming soon.
Awesome, thanks so much, Dan. Now, to jump back into the question and answer period. So I'm actually gonna stop sharing our screen and I'm gonna bring back the camera so you can see us as we answer your questions. We're good to go? Awesome. Okay, so you might see me jumping back and forth because more likely than not, I'll surface the question and then Dan will provide the answer.
Oh, a lot of questions.
Yes,
awesome.
A lot of questions.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so first question we're going to tackle is from Gary. Gary, will the HST GST be extracted by the new machine learning update? It doesn't seem to at the moment.
Yeah, so Gary, you're spot on. Today, the machine learning updates extract the same things that were available before the machine learning updates: vendor, date, so bill date, amount, and if it's available, due date and invoice number. We actually have someone just like me, another product manager, whose entire job is to focus on data extraction. I happened to meet with him this morning, and I know that there's a handful of fields on his roadmap that he wants to add to the machine learning model, and one of those is tax extraction. So it doesn't exist today, but it is something that we're looking into and want to release in the future.
Awesome. So a question from Don. When coding data, will you be allowing for multiple decimal places, more than 2? Example, 340 feet of steel pipe costs $5.4653 per feet. QBO does support multiple decimal places, so now I have to go manually readjust those prices.
Sure. So it's a great question, Don. We've heard that from actually a handful of other customers, especially those who are dealing much more with often either commodity products or inventory items. And you're correct that today in Hubdoc, we only support 2 decimal places. So this is something we want to build. The challenge is that it turns out that it's not a quick win. that the fact that we use 2 decimal places actually lives in about 50 different places in the app. So for us to update Hubdoc to do that, it turns out it's going to be a very large project. So it's not, so that's my like kind of product manager way of saying, I totally get that it's important. It is something we want to do. Unfortunately, we can't spin it up quickly, but it is in our backlog of things that we hope to overhaul in the future.
Awesome.
There's just some other things that we need to do before we get there.
All right, question from Susie. What is the best practice to deal with vendors who have different tax codes? For example, I purchased a Staples product in Ontario that has HST, and then in a Staples in Quebec that has 5%, but both get uploaded to a Staples folder.
I'm going to keep saying this to every question, like all of these are good questions. So if I get annoying, just bear with me, but I love to kind of deep power users and the questions that they ask. So I'm thinking live about that. You're right in that there's no obvious solution, right? Our artificial intelligence, for as intelligent as it is, it's still a computer, right? And if it sees Staples, today it's not able to know whether this was a Staples from Quebec or a Staples from Ontario. The result of that is because in Hubdoc you can link a single tax code with a vendor, this will require some manual entry from you. That is, if you're constantly going in Ontario, when a Quebec document comes in, it will have the Ontario tax rate and you will have to give that a review. We need to change it. It's not perfect. And this kind of goes to Gary's question from earlier, which is once our machine learning model can extract the actual text in the document, we do think that problem will go away. So exists today, you're right, no easy answer, despite a little bit of human involvement, but something we want to make go away in the future.
Awesome. So question from Tammy. Do changes to vendors in Hubdoc by Autofile 2.0 also update QBO vendors? And I would assume if you're a 0 user, 0 suppliers would be the same question.
Sure, so great question. So kind of thinking out loud about that, it's a 2-part answer. So we're going to get a little bit deep here, but that's the point of this. Session. So what's important to note is that there are 2 concepts of vendors, right? There is the vendor you have in Hubdoc and the vendor that you would have in your general ledger, like QuickBooks Online or Xero. And if you think about your workflow on Hubdoc today, what happens? You send a document in, Hubdoc pulls out a vendor, you then code that vendor once. And you say, for example, if you're a QuickBooks Online user, you say the vendor is Tim Hortons, which we pull from your list. If you're a Xero user, I think we call that a contact instead, and you would say the contact is Tim Hortons or McDonald's or whatever the vendor is. So the point I'm getting at is that as a Hubdoc user, you actually suddenly have 2 vendor lists. Your Hubdoc vendor list and your kind of gold standard vendor list that lives in your general ledger. So what the Autofile 2.0 does is it keeps your Hubdoc list clean. But from that Hubdoc list, you are then setting a vendor in your QuickBooks Online list. And Hubdoc won't touch that. And we do that by design, right? We don't want what Hubdoc is extracting to touch your gold standard list in QuickBooks Online. This is a Hubdoc organizational tool. So let's give an example to make sure that's clear. Let's say that you have 2 vendors, Starbucks and Starbucks JFK Airport. If you've published both of those vendors before Autofile 2.0, if you've published them both to QuickBooks Online, what would have happened is you would have taken your Starbucks vendor, you would have scrolled down in Hubdoc, and you would have coded it, say, to Starbucks. And then you'd have taken your Starbucks JFK vendor in Hubdoc, scrolled down, and coded it to Starbucks. So you've actually coded them both properly to your gold standard in QuickBooks Online. When you merge those vendors together, we're going to take the chosen vendor, call it Starbucks. We're going to take the chosen vendor that you've chosen in QuickBooks Online, and we're going to use that in the future. So in the future, everything that we pull in will go to QuickBooks. We'll go to your Starbucks vendor in QuickBooks Online. So I realize I just said the word vendor about 50 times in a lot of different contexts, but it's because it's actually quite a deep question. And I hope that answers the question. And if not, please write back and we can go a little bit further.
This is a good question.
It's a great question.
Yeah. Okay, question from Jim. So when you were doing the demo, I noticed this as well. It says rotation not saved. Can the rotation be saved?
Rotate.
So when we were doing the
yes.
rotation on the Zoom?
These are So another really thoughtful question. I didn't bring it up because I was like, nobody's gonna notice that, but clearly this group totally notices those things. Rotation can definitely be saved. It depends on the document. So rotating images like PDFs or PNGs, types of things that you're snapping with a phone, that rotation can be saved and it will automatically be saved. When you upload a PDF, especially a multi-page PDF, but today for all PDFs, PDFs don't like to be rotated and saved. So if you think about when you open up a PDF file in your PDF viewer, when you rotate it, you close your PDF viewer, when you reopen it, it normally stays in its initial orientation. And the same applies in Hubdoc. So we will let you rotate it in the view, but because PDFs don't like to be overhauled, we cannot save your, we will not save, but change your original PDF with the rotation. So in short, images, JPEGs and PNGs, rotation can be saved. PDFs, you will always preserve your initial PDF orientation.
Got it. Thanks, Dan. So question from Gina regarding two-factor authentication. What if we misplace our mobile phone? Is there a workaround?
Great question. There is. There are actually two workarounds. So the first one is the security code. So as you would have seen when I was doing that quick demo of a setup, and I know I moved a little bit fast, before you set up your two-factor authentication, you get a special code. And that's like your backup code. So if you ever drop your phone in the lake and you still need to get into your Hubdoc account, as long as you save that code, when you go to put in your two-factor authentication, there's a little link that says, I don't have my mobile phone. If you click that, it says, give us your backup code. If you put that backup code in, you're back into Hubdoc. Now, in worst case scenario, say you lose that backup code and you drop your phone in the lake. It was like a really bad weekend, for example. And you still obviously need to get into your Hubdoc account. There is a third option, and we mention this in the app. If you've lost your phone and you don't have the code, you can click a link that will give you a phone number. You can contact our support team. Now, because two-factor authentication is built to make it really hard to get into your account, we need to be protective here, which means that if you're in that solution, we're going to make you send us several pieces of ID. It's going to take several days to review because we need to make sure that someone else isn't just calling in, pretending to be you and saying, hey, I lost my phone, can you let me into your account? In other words, we treat this third step extremely seriously, and it's not like a quick fix. And for that reason, we really suggest that you preserve that security code. But in worst case scenarios, if you are who you say you are, and you can give us documented photographic proof, there's always a way to get back in.
So you locked me out of my account. Now I got to provide ID.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to wait several days.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so question from Jim again, re-audit trail. So probably good to talk about one of the new features that we brought up. Will the audit trail be available for historical documents or just for documents submitted after the product is activated? That's a great question.
Another super thoughtful question. It's only going to be for documents going forward. The reason is that we're not collecting a lot of this data today. So it's only from the moment that we switch it on will we be able to store all this stuff and present it to you. So when we switch it on, going forward, you'll have it, but for historical documents, the audit trail data will not be available.
Okay, awesome, thank you. So question from Cindy. Oh, hey, Cindy. If a client sets up two-step authentication, does the bookkeeper need to also use two-step authentication?
Thinking about that one. So the answer is that two-step authentication is set up on a per client account. So if the client sets it up on their specific account, but you have not set it up on your bookkeeper account, because you have access through your bookkeeper account, you will still be able to access it. So all that means that if the client decides they want to set it up, but you don't want to, because they've already granted you access, they're implicitly agreeing to the security preferences that you have decided to apply for your firm. And what this means is that if you want to turn on two-factor authentication, you actually have to make sure that and you want all your clients to be perfectly safe and and be as secure as possible, you have to make sure that you don't just switch it on in your advisor, your VIP account, and bookkeeper account, but you make sure all your clients switch it on as well.
Yeah. So just to recap, if you're an advisor with access to multiple accounts, we highly recommend setting up two-factor authentication on your account and then extending that security policy to your clients.
Exactly.
Okay. So question from Jennifer, Reed, data extraction. Is line item extraction an update in the future?
So the answer is yes, we hope so. Okay, and that's just one of our core values at Hubdoc is radical transparency. And as the person who works with the team that builds this stuff, extracting multiple line items and especially doing it instantaneously is a significantly different technical challenge than pulling out just one vendor, one date, and one amount. So it's something that we do want to introduce and that we're looking into, but transparently, it's not the one that we're deep into right now and not something we expect to have in the very short term. So stay tuned, watch the gold box, but for now, it's not something that we expect to release in the very short term.
I can't wait for that gold box. Okay, so quick question from Lisa. I use several tags for my organization. I want to be able to sort using a combination of folder and tags, multiple tags, or a combination of tags. Currently, only one folder and one tag can be used at a time. Please, I think this might be good to talk about a feature that we haven't talked about as of yet. And I wouldn't even say it's a feature, it's more so, you know, I'll let you talk about it because it's a little bit more complex.
The tagging and
or Elasticsearch, which is the first step of kind of better search functionality within Hubdoc.
Sure. So Lisa, there's a few things probably to mention here. So first, what you've described is totally correct. There's one tagging folder at a time. So what this sounds to me like is a feature request, and all feature requests do flow to me. So hang on one second, let me just do this. And we should capture that. Interestingly enough, as the person who sees all these feature requests, we don't get asked for that often, but it's something that I can look into and we will consider. That's kind of point one, feature request granted, and I'm actually going to write this down so I can add to our list afterwards.
And then I think you're going to jump into Elasticsearch, which is the next evolution of search within Hubdoc.
Exactly. So the other point is that part of the reason that you are probably relying heavily on folders and tags as part of your organization system is that, admittedly, finding documents at a really granular level is not super easy in Hubdoc today. Now, we've been working quietly behind the scenes, and this is something I'm only going to give you a really small sneak peek because it's coming, but I'm going to stick to the philosophy.
They're lucky that they have me here.
Yeah, to push me exactly to talk about these things. So under the hood, we have been improving our search functionality. So in the past, whereas search could only find a very small number of fields, we now have made our search much more powerful, and you can find vendor, you can find part of vendor, you can find amounts, etc. All that works in search today. But the next iteration of search is to create tools where you can actually select and filter. Say, I only want documents between this date range, or I only want documents that have been published, etc. And the work we did to improve search has created a foundation for us to be able to build those tools. So all I can say is know that that's something that is very much in the works. We can't show you what we have yet, but in addition to looking into our ability to add by multiple tags, filtering and finding documents in Hubdoc is going to become much easier soon, which should also alleviate some of that pain. So stay tuned for that. And thank you for the request. We're going to look into it.
Awesome. So before I leak some more sneak peeks and some more features, I think it's about time for us to wrap it up. We just want to say thank you again so much for joining us today and for dealing with that little bit of network issue. We really appreciate you taking the time. Can't wait to do the next one. Look for our emails, social media notifications, and that little beautiful box for new feature updates. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, I'll just add to that this was super fun. It's so energizing to talk to customers who are power users. Like the quality of questions here and the quality of thought around optimizing your workflow and process. Like it's exciting. It's what keeps us kind of excited to come to work every day. So keep up the feature requests, keep the ideas, keep making us work hard, and really excited to keep building stuff for everyone here.
Oh yeah,
so thank you.
One last tiny thing. So in the month of June, we will be at XeroCon in Atlanta. We'll also be at AICPA Engage in Las Vegas, and we'll be at Scaling New Heights again in Atlanta in the month of June. If you're at any of those events, please stop by and say hi to the Hubdoc team.
And get a t-shirt.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, have a great day, everyone. Bye.